Hey everyone, before we dive in, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button right now. It really helps the channel grow, and I'd love to have you along for more stories like this one. Alright, let's get into it. The leak had been dripping into that same rusty bucket for 3 straight weeks. Each drop landed with the same tired rhythm as my pulse. Slow, constant, and driving me absolutely crazy. I was crouched underneath the kitchen sink, flashlight clamped between my teeth, pipe wrench in my grip, trying to sweet-talk some life back into plumbing that had quit on me the same month my marriage did. You know what your real problem is, Jake? I grumbled to myself while tightening a fitting that had no right to be loose in the first place. You keep trying to repair stuff that's already decided it's done. The front door banged open upstairs. Expensive heels clicked across the hardwood floor. Those sky-high designer ones that cost more than I pull in during a good week keeping the city's computers from melting down. Sarah was home from another late meeting at Harrington and Blake, where she'd rocketed from junior accountant to senior project manager in 5 years thanks to what she called smart networking, and what I'd lately started calling something a whole lot uglier. Jake, you down there messing with your little toolbox again? Her voice had picked up this new razor edge lately. Sharp enough to slice bread and twice as icy. Just fixing the sink, I yelled back, staying put on the grimy floor. You know, that magical thing we use to wash dishes and pretend we're civilized adults. She let out a laugh that didn't used to be this cold laugh. Right? Because that's your superpower. Fixing broken things. I crawled out, wiping my greasy hands on a rag that had seen better days. Sarah stood in the doorway looking every bit the corporate warrior. Charcoal power suit hugging the curves that first caught my eye 8 years ago at O'Malley's pub. Blonde hair twisted into that severe work bun. A couple loose strands had escaped, softening her face just enough to remind me why I once lost my mind over her. Bad day at the office? I asked, already knowing the answer. Every day was a war zone at Harrington and Blake, according to Sarah. Every client impossible, every deadline insane, every coworker useless. You wouldn't get it, she said, yanking open the fridge and grabbing the Pinot Grigio. You spend your days in a basement cubicle resetting passwords and kicking printers. You don't know real pressure. I set the wrench down slowly, counting to 10 in my head. We danced this dance before. Real pressure, huh? Like keeping 50,000 residents from losing water bills, emergency alerts, and payroll because one server hiccups? That fake kind of pressure. She poured herself a huge glass and didn't offer me any. Ethan says the private sector is where actual challenges live. Government jobs are just safe. There it was. Ethan Reynolds, her work husband at Harrington and Blake. Ex-college lacrosse star, leased Porsche, suits that cost more than my mortgage payment. Ethan, who always Ethan. Ethan says a lot, I answered, keeping my tone flat. Mostly about Ethan. Her eyes flashed. He's successful, Jake. He gets ambition, hustle, doing whatever it takes to win. Whatever it takes, I echoed. Careful choice of words. She took a long sip, watching me over the rim. You act like I owe you forever just because you're happy patching pipes and babysitting servers. The sentence landed like a punch to the chest. I stared at the woman I'd married, the stranger wearing Sarah's face. Loyalty, I finally said. Yeah, I actually thought marriage included some of that. My mistake. She slammed her glass down hard enough to splash wine across the granite. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, Sarah. Absolutely nothing. I snapped the toolbox shut, suddenly bone-tired. I'm going to bed. Try not to wake me when you come up. I might not come up, she shot at my back. Might just crash in the guest room. Give us both space to think. I paused in the doorway. Think about what? She was already refilling her glass and didn't answer. I lay awake until almost 3, listening to her pace downstairs. 2 weeks later, she was gone. Divorce papers showed up on a Tuesday. By Friday, I changed the locks, forwarded her mail to her sister's place in Rochester, and slept through an entire night for the first time in forever. The house felt huge without her constant criticism bouncing off the walls, peaceful without her late-night work calls, to Ethan that somehow always happened when I walked into the room. I was just getting comfortable with the quiet when, At midnight on a Saturday, someone pounded on my door. Sarah stood there looking like she'd been dragged behind a truck. Designer outfit wrinkled, perfect hair loose and wild, knuckles scraped raw, nails broken, a nasty purple bruise blooming across her wrist. Jesus, Sarah, what happened? She shoved past me into the living room, pacing like a trapped cat. I need to tell you about Ethan. About all of it. You don't owe me explanations, I said, shutting the door anyway. We're divorcing, remember? You were pretty clear. It wasn't supposed to go like that, she blurted. It was only drinks after work, networking, but he kept pushing more wine, being so charming, making me feel seen. We slept together one time and he filmed it on his phone. I didn't know until after. The air left the room. He said it was just for us, just fun. Then he started demanding I leave you, move in with him, threatening to send the video to everyone. Work, you, my parents, if I didn't. I studied her face for the lie, but the terror in her eyes looked real, and those bruises were definitely real. So you left me for him? No. She stepped closer, reaching. I left to protect you, to protect me. I thought if I played along I could get the video back. Make it stop. And did you? Her laugh cracked. He's not who I thought, Jake. He's vicious. Tonight when I tried to end it. She lifted the bruised wrist. He didn't like that. Part of me ached for her. The bigger part, the part that had spent weeks rebuilding a life without her chaos, felt ice cold. What do you want from me, Sarah? I want us to leave tonight. Throw whatever fits in the car and disappear where he can't find us. Us. I almost laughed. There is no us. You killed that. Jake, please. No, I opened the front door. You want to run from Ethan? Run. But you're running alone. Tears tracked down her face. I love you. I messed up, but it's always been you. That's what they all say, I answered. Right before you changed the locks. Next morning I bought her a one-way bus ticket to Rochester, dropped her at the station, watched the bus pull away, then went home and finally fixed the kitchen sink for good. I thought the worst was behind me. I was dead wrong. 3 days later my car sat in the city lot with a fresh key scratched down the driver's side, spelling one word. Coward. Real mature. The city cameras missed that corner perfectly. Whoever did it knew the blind spots. I filed a report anyway. Dave Morales, head of building security and an old friend of my dad's, shook his head at the damage. Any idea who'd do this, Jake? Ex-wife's new boyfriend. Ethan Reynolds. Works at Harrington and Blake downtown. Dave jotted the name. I'll watch for him. Meanwhile, get a dash cam and park under a light. That night I stopped at the Broken Oar, a dive 6 blocks from my house where the beer is cheap and nobody pretends to be fancy. Carla Jones, the 60-something bartender who's owned the place forever, slid a pint my way. You look like someone kicked your dog, she said. I told her everything. When I finished, she set down the glass she'd been polishing. Ethan Reynolds, she repeated. Big shot, thinks he's God's gift. Comes in here flashing cash. Loud about how much he makes. Always with some scared-looking girl from the office. Last week he was asking about you, where you live, work, what you drive. Said he was an old buddy. My stomach dropped. That same night someone left a note under my wiper. You should have left town when you had the chance. Next morning I called my brother Ryan. Ryan Hayes is 3 years older, twice as scary when he wants to be. Did 2 tours with the Marines, now swings a hammer for a living and rides a Harley, older than both of us. Somebody's screwing with you, he said after I filled him in. Question is, how hard do you want to screw back? Legal, I said fast. 100% legal. He laughed like gravel in a blender. Boring but fine. First we find out exactly what this Ethan prick is up to. While Ryan worked his contacts, I dug on my own. Ethan's social media was a highlight reel, fancy dinners, private jets, charity galas. But his LinkedIn said he'd left his last job in Chicago after a mutual agreement. Further digging showed that firm got investigated for harassment right as he walked out the door. No charges, but the timing stank. I was printing everything when a new email pinged. Random address. Subject line. Enjoying the show? Attachment. A photo of me at my desk, Taken from outside my office window. My Victor research clear on the screen. Someone was watching. I forwarded it to Dave and called Ryan. Meet tonight. Bring your building security buddy. Things just got fun, Ryan said. We met at a 24-hour diner with terrible coffee and 0 questions asked. Ryan's friend Louise Park, night guard at Harrington and Blake, spread grainy photos across the table. Your boy keeps a tight schedule, Louise said. In at 9, out at 6 most nights. But Tuesdays and Thursdays he stays real late working. He air-quoted. With his assistant, Emily. Young, pretty, looks terrified half the time. The pieces clicked. Ethan wasn't just an asshole, he was a predator. Louise continued. Executive garage, private elevator, almost no cameras. Perfect spot for a private chat. Ryan grinned like a wolf. What kind of chat we talking? The legal kind, I said. We planned for Thursday. I waited in the dim executive garage an hour, dressed dark, cap low. At 9:32 the elevator dinged. Ethan strolled out whistling, swinging his keys, looking like a man who just won the night. I stepped out when he was halfway to his Porsche. Ethan. He spun, startled, then smoothed his tie. Jake, what are you doing here? We need to talk. I think we're done talking. He turned. I blocked him. See, that's where you're wrong. We've got plenty. Like why you've been stalking me, keying my car, sending cute little notes and photos. The mask slipped. Something ugly looked back. You're delusional. I stepped closer. Here's how this goes. You stop. You leave me alone. Leave Sarah alone. Find a new hobby. Or what? He sneered. You'll cry to the cops? Or I make your life uncomfortable. He laughed, looked me up and down. Jeans, work boots, calluses. You? Please. I smiled. I know exactly who you are. A bully who hurts women and hides behind money. Money can't buy guts, Ethan. His face went purple. He swung, a slow, drunk rich boy punch. I slipped it, grabbed his wrist, twisted, slammed him against his own car. One warning, I said low. Stay away from me, my house, my job. Next time I send friends who don't care about staying legal. I let him go. He rubbed his wrist, eyes wild. This isn't over. Yeah, I said, walking away. It is. It wasn't. Monday I had angry voicemails from my boss wondering why I'd no-showed weekend overtime I was never scheduled for. Someone spoofed an email from the mayor's office volunteering me. My reputation took a hit. Then came the spam sign-ups, fake bad reviews in my name, calls to my landlord about loud parties and drugs. Petty, relentless, and just legal enough. But Ethan got sloppy. Ryan found metadata tying the fake emails to a workstation at Harrington and Blake. Then the golden ticket walked up to me in a mall parking lot. Emily, Ethan's assistant. 25, exhausted eyes, picking at her cuticles. I know what he's doing to you, she whispered. I've been saving proof. She handed me her phone, screenshots, recordings of Ethan pressuring women, threatening jobs, bragging about running Sarah out of town. Enough to bury him. That night we met at Ryan's garage. Spread the evidence like battle plans. We could ruin him publicly, Ryan said. I shook my head. We do it clean. Give it to HR and the police. I'm not becoming him to beat him. Next day I walked into Harrington and Blake in my only suit, briefcase full of truth. HR director took one look at the recordings and went pale. By 5 o'clock Ethan was escorted out with a cardboard box. I waited in the garage. He looked smaller, deflated. You think you won? He spat. It's over. I've got lawyers. Your accounts are frozen, your friends are running. And Channel 9 is already running Emily's story. He dropped the box, fists clenched, but Luis and 2 guards stepped off the elevator. Ethan picked up his box and left without another word. I called Sarah that night. It's finished. He can't hurt you anymore. Long silence. Thank you. Don't. We're done. Mick, maybe we could. No. You made choices. Live with them. I hung up. 3 days later Ethan was arrested. Harassment, extortion, sexual coercion. Front page news. Emily got a better job and sent a thank you card with her smiling in it. Sarah moved back to town but never called. Word was she took a quiet job, cut her hair, ditched the designer armor. One Friday night she walked into the saw me at the bar, hesitated, then came over. Hi. Hi. Can I buy you a beer? Already got one. She ordered anyway. We sat quiet a long time. I'm sorry, she said finally. For everything. Okay. That's it. I looked at her, really looked. The woman I married was still in there, but I didn't know this version and I didn't want to. I don't hate you, Sarah, but I don't love you anymore either. You ended that when you decided his world mattered more than ours. I was scared. You made choices. She grabbed my sleeve as I stood. Please don't leave it like this. I gently pulled away. Some things can't be fixed with apologies. You don't get to undo damage because you're sorry now. I walked out into cool night air that finally felt like mine again. Ethan got 18 months plus restitution. Sarah moved states and, rumor says, married a decent guy. I kept the house, kept my job, kept my peace. Sometimes I sit on the porch with a beer and realize the quiet isn't empty anymore. It's full. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. Me? I don't need revenge. I just needed the dripping to stop. And it finally has.